The petroleum industry bill was conceptualized 20 years ago and was first introduced into the National Assembly 14 years ago. The recent passage of the bill by both chambers of the National Assembly stirred mixed reactions among lawmakers and Nigerians.
25% be enshrined in the PIB for us to find peace.
3% of what? The question is 3% of equity. They are not giving us equity. We are not asking for grants. We are not asking for palliatives. What we are asking for us to be part of the industry. Can that CAPEX or OPEX make us to be part of the industry?
So what we have done here is that we have for once constructively looked at the peculiarities of the different operators in the country, whether the IOCs under the joint venture or the PAC, and also the Nigerian operators. We have looked at all their interests, all the sentiment that were expressed in the course of our public engagement, and we have captured those scenarios, and we have come up with what we think will move the country's oil and gas industry forward.
A key provision of the bill that triggered outrage was the allocation of 30% of NNPC's profit to frontier basins for exploration. The states referred to as frontier basins were not clearly stated in the bill. The Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Timipri Silva, in an interview with AIT, shed more light on what the frontier basins meant and why it should not generate friction.
So it is not, when you say frontier, it is not only the north that is frontier. The southwest is frontier, for example. A big part of the southeast is also frontier, like the Anambra Basin. The Benue Trough is frontier. Now people will say, why don't you allow oil companies to go there and find oil? It is not that easy. If you are saying you want to bring an investor, you must show him some data. You must. You just say, go to that place, I don't have any data, go there. How will any investor come?
This explanation is taken as official, but does it address the curiosity of the people, especially as it appears that a 30% NNPC profit is ordinarily designed to benefit certain persons? It also raises the issue of whether or not the Parliament can legislate for NNPC, which has become a liability company. Another controversial provision of the bill is the allocation of 3% operating expenditure to host communities as passed by the Senate, while the House of Representatives approved 5%. Those who argue for an increase say the host communities deserve more considering the attendant environmental degradations. The Minister of State, however, believes that the 2.5% that was submitted was fair in addition to other provisions the communities are getting.
Initially, what was passed in the previous effort was 10% of profit. But we said that is tricky. That was very tricky. Because if I say I didn't make profit, then you have nothing. If somebody says 10%, 100% of profit and it didn't make profit, you have nothing. So we felt, look, that is very tricky because we know a lot of companies that have not declared profit since their operations. So if they say 10% of profit, 20% of profit, they might sell you a dummy. So the best thing was, let us make it 2.5% of the operational cost. This fund will be targeted at developing the host communities, because host community is any community where oil is found and is being produced. So if we are exploring for oil in the north, what we are doing in effect is to find host communities in the north. Because wherever there is oil in the north, there you have a host community as well. Now let us leave all these regional cleavages, ethnic cleavages. Let us, for once, as Nigerians, think as Nigerians.
Oil is Nigeria's economic mainstay, and it is the hope of many that the petroleum industry bill will not just fortify Nigerian oil and gas industry, but also guarantee certainty for investors.
But I believe the PIB, one of the key intents there is to perhaps look at the past and pave a new forward path. I'm sure the Senator and all his colleagues, and I know the executive arm, have looked at all the sort of historical footprint and done their best to really accommodate a very competitive and compelling bill going forward. So, like I said earlier, we look forward to getting the final version, dissecting it, and then moving forward to operationalize.
I think with the PIB being passed, and I think the dispute settlement and the new PSC on 118, I think just shows some good momentum for the industry. I can't comment on the other disputes, which I think are on a case-by-case basis.
By and large, I would say, certainly from my perspective, we were listened to. Where we still have one or two areas of where we don't entirely agree, I'm sure in the course of looking at specific projects, we will deal with it. But this has been a bill that has been well articulated and we have been well consulted.
The two chambers of the National Assembly have already taken steps to harmonize the differences in their bills, after which it will be presented to the plenaries before the bill is presented to the President for his assent. Dorcas Igonor, AIT News, Abuja.